lovelies, welcome to the Geek Suite. I'm your host, the one and only Kidner Bean, and we're back for another Vlogmas 2019 video. Yay! So for today's Vlogmas video, we're going to be doing some geeky Christmas crafts. And we're going to be making different themed paper snowflakes that you can use as either decorations or as a fun activity to do with your friends and family over the holidays. So I found a bunch of paper snowflake patterns a couple years back done by someone named Anthony Herrera, and his website, which I will link down in the description section below, has free downloads for all of these designs that we're going to do in today's video, as well as designs for other characters. And so their website covers paper snowflake patterns for Game of Thrones, Frozen, Harry Potter, Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Wars, and more. Okay, so for today's video, I've picked 3 very popular patterns, one from Game of Thrones, one from Star Wars, and one from Guardians of the Galaxy that I'm going to do along with you guys in this sort of Christmas craft tutorial video. So for today's video, you're going to need to have printouts of the designs that you want to do. So today's we're doing House Stark from Game of Thrones, the Porg 1 design from Star Wars, and Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. And you are also going to need a pair of scissors, and ideally for some of these more intricate ones, you will need an Xacto knife or some other craft tool, but I do not have the skill set for that and should not be trusted with an Xacto knife, so I've picked designs that we're doing in the video that can pretty much be done just with a basic pair of scissors you'd find lying around the house. Okay, so let's get started. So we are starting with the House Stark design from the website, and the first step to do is we're going to cut out the square pattern and get rid of the excess paper from our page. And if you have one of those fancy like office paper slicers lying around, this would be a good way to do that. If not, you can just use plain scissors, depending on how concerned you are with having perfectly straight lines. I do not have good fine motor skills, so I am not the biggest critic of perfectly straight lines. So I don't particularly care as much, but if you guys want to have these pretty and put them up, I pasted them in the windows one year, and I made so many of them that I actually had some to put in the windows with some basic Scotch tape, and then I also took some paper clips and turned them into Christmas tree ornaments. So there's lots of things you can do with these. Okay, so we have our primary cutout, and what we're going to do first is we're going to fold it in half and then in half again. So I'm going to fold it once along this first dotted line vertically, or hot dog style for those who did paper crafts in school. Maybe you cut out your own origami. Now the only particular thing here is when you make this vertical fold, you want to make sure that you don't have any of these gray parts overlapping onto the other side, otherwise it will affect the overall outcome of the design. So I'm using my nail right here to get a very crisp fold, and now we're going to fold again along this dotted line, or hamburger style, for the second fold, getting that nice and crisp again. So now you should have one that is just a tiny square that has half of the gray cut out and the other half is completely white. And once again, you're just going to make that final fold along the dotted line. And this one, again, you do want to be a little more careful with. And try to get it as close to that fold being exactly on the line as you can get, so that way everything gets cut out nice and neat. And so now you should have a little triangle so you can play football. But we're not playing football, we're making paper snowflakes. Alright, and now that we have our triangle that is half of the House Stark design, if you can see, I'll move it closer. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cut out all of the gray parts around our design, and then when we're finished, we will unfold it and see our finished product for the House Stark Christmas snowflake. or Sevenmas, if you celebrate Sevenmas in the Game of Thrones world. For more information on Sevenmas, be sure to check out my earlier Vlogmas video where we cover that topic. Alright, let's get to cutting. So now I'm going to cut out like this top part, which ends at the nose. You shouldn't be cutting around the nose. The nose should be at the very tip of the paper. Okay, and the next most difficult part that I'm going to cut out is this little shading bit for the sword blade for ice. Again, this one is one that you need to be careful with and maybe would be easier with an Xacto knife, but I chose follow along designs that wouldn't necessarily need them to get a nice finished product. And now we're going to start going in. So for this part, I find it easier just to cut this whole chunk out right out of the way, so that way it makes getting into this area a little bit easier as you go on, since this part is going to be completely removed in the finished product anyway. And now rather than going in and trying to get the little teeth in like a whole bit, I'm going to cut around the main part first and then go back in later and cut the teeth out, so that way it's a little bit easier since we're using just plain scissors. And again, just cutting out this excess to make access into the deeper parts of this snowflake a little bit easier as we go along for more of the detail work. And you can cut out the excess bits or the gray shaded areas in any order that is easy for you. I'm just doing the way that's easiest for me for this tutorial video. There's no one right way. That's a tongue twister. Say that 5 times fast. To cut this part out, which is why there aren't specific instructions on the website. And don't worry if you overcut or mess it up, because you can always use a little bit of Scotch tape to tape any pieces that fall apart, especially in the thinner areas like the sword, when you're finished cutting everything out. No one will know. At least I won't tell. And again, just cutting a bit of the excess away before going into detail. Making a mess. teeth would be easier done with an Xacto knife, but it can be done with just plain old scissors like I'm doing here. It just maybe takes a little more concentration and a little more patience. But I always like to save the teeth for last because they're the hardest to get to. But now we're done. We've cut out all of our pieces, so it should look something like this when you're done with your cutting. And now let's unfold our House Stark snowflake and see how it turned out. Now, the designs for the Game of Thrones have all of the major house families and have recently added the Night's Watch to their collection. So if you go to the website in the description section down below, you can get cutouts for any house that you desire. But here we have it, the Direwolf and Family Sword Ice of House Stark. Alright, and our next one is going to be our lovely Porg. Here we go. From the new Star Wars franchise. And this one is a little bit easier. As you can see, there's a lot more gray areas that are larger and require less detail. So this one is maybe more fun if you have kids that you maybe want to do this project with, siblings or cousins, or if you're like me and have issues with fine motor skills and you want to do something fun but maybe don't have the time or energy or Xacto knives to do the House Stark or other more intricate designs from the Star Wars collection on this website. Alright, so once again we're going to start by cutting out our main square. Time to make our series of folds. Now this particular design has little marks where it says fold 1, fold 2, and fold 3. So for this one they want us to fold it hamburger style first, or horizontally based on the orientation of our Porg, and try to line up the lines so that when you fold it the two vertical lines are touching, just so that way you get nice evenly spaced Porgs in our final design. And now we're going to fold it again. So we have our square. Again, trying to fold as closely on the line as possible. And one final fold diagonally, since we only have half a Porg and we want a whole Porg. Okay, I think that's the best I'm going to do with this one. So our Porg, let me make sure I'm doing this right, should look something like this. And now we begin the cutting. So this one I've actually never done before since it's a newer one. And I'm going to start once again by cutting the outer areas first and then working my way inwards. I'm going to do the big mouth opening first because that's going to be the easiest part. And for areas like the eyes and little nose holes, you can either go and get an Xacto knife and do it with these ones, or you can try to fold that area in half and cut it yourself, or if neither of those options are really good for you, you can also just take a a regular pencil, and just shade in the other half of the face once we unfold it. And you get the same, more or less. Okay, so I have gone through and colored the little other half of my porg face since I am not good with Xacto knives. And so now we're going to unfold and see what our little snowflake looks like. So if you've gone through and made the cuts, you'll see that it looks more like the finished product, which is shown on the website. I'll put here. And this is my scissors only version. Okie dokie, my lovelies. Our last one for today is going to be Baby Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. And we're going to again start by cutting out our main square and moving on from there. We're going to once again make our 3 main folds and begin cutting out the gray areas. Just like we did for the House Stark one, I'm going to start with the tiny bits on this outer edge so I don't screw them up later. So I've made the series of basic cuts, and now I'm going to move more towards the outside areas so we can see our Baby Groot really pop. And yes, I am aware there is a certain odd, dark irony to making a paper snowflake of Baby Groot, who is a tree, and paper is made from trees. I'm sorry. And so we've made all of the major cuts. Oh, forgot to do the rest of his hair. Just kidding. Okay, now we're finished with the major cutting. And again, if you have and can use an Xacto knife, you can go in and cut out these extra detailed spots. Or if you want, you can color them in on the opposite sides with colored pencil or regular pencil. But for now, we're going to open up our scissors only finished project and see how he turned out. Oh, it looks so good, guys. I'm excited. I've never done Baby Groot either. Alright, so this is our Baby Groot scissors only snowflake. And I will show the finished project if you use the Xacto knife here. But I think our scissors only version turned out quite well. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section down below. Alrighty, my lovelies, thank you so much for doing our Christmas nerdy crafts with me. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. It really helps promote my video and keep me from falling into the abyss of obscurity thanks to the YouTube algorithm. And go ahead and give this video a share if you want to let other people know about our geeky Geek Suite Christmas crafts. And for our lovelies who are a little more generous and wealthy this holiday season, we are having our Vlogmas 2019 Patreon special. Patrons are who make this channel possible. Each donation goes towards creating more content like this and allows our patrons exclusive access to patron-only content, early access to videos, uncensored videos, bloopers, and chances to vote in our viewer polls, and access to the Geek Suite Discord server at a higher tier. For the Vlogmas 2019 special, in addition to all of the wonderful patron-only benefits, you'll receive a handwritten Christmas or holiday card of your choosing from me, the Kidner Bean. Once again, lovelies, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all tomorrow. Mwah.